What's the game plan for Michigan to win the national championship on Monday night in NRG Stadium? We will be there. So as soon as you finish watching the game, go to the On3 YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed. That's first and foremost. But we'll have a reaction for you as soon as we get triple zeros. And regardless of who wins, we'll have a reaction for you. Should be a lot of fun. So make sure you're there. All right. So for Michigan, what do they have to do to win this game? What's the game plan for Michigan? And I think we'll start with the offensive side of the ball because I think that's the part of the game that I think could truly wear the most on Washington. Like when you look at this thing from a broad strokes perspective, if Michigan has a touchdown lead in the fourth quarter and they get the ball back, they get to squeeze you a little bit. And we've compared Michigan going back to last year, like having that heavy weight on your back. You can hold it for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but when you get into that fourth quarter and you got to go out to the deep water with this football team, with the way that they run the ball and the way they can lean on you, and what Washington doesn't have up front, I think that's 1,000% advantage Michigan. So keep an eye on that. And that fourth quarter score, it'll be crucial, obviously, to start fast. And Washington, that's their path to victory. I truly believe that. But for Michigan, being able to embrace their edge, which is their physicality, it's going to be massive. So the fourth quarter is something we got to watch here very closely. But when it comes to the game plan for Michigan, I think the same thing is true for them as it has been all season long. We've seen this now, man. When they get into a spot where it is winning time, they go to who they are from an identity standpoint. The Penn State game is a perfect example. Second half, kind of back and forth. You're on the road. They ran the ball the entirety of the second half. I don't think it'll be an entirety of the second half kind of game running the ball for Michigan, but I do think they're going to have a lot of interior runs. I'm talking power. I'm talking inside zone. And what that does is, one, it's a tone setter. So that's the attitude of saying, hey, we are the bully. We will be pushing you around all game. Get used to it. That's the first part. The other part of this, though, it allows them to go to their changeup pitch. Like the fastball, to me, 100%, like we just said, power, inside zone, get downhill, run the football at you. Here's a healthy dose of Blake Corum. But off of that, we saw Oregon State against Washington have a lot of success in play action and design quarterback runs. Like DJ Uiagalelei had a really good day at the office running the football. I think he was somewhere in the range of 50 yards. 50 yards rushing from JJ McCarthy, I promise you, that will be good enough to win this football game if they're able to have a stat line like that and they get it the fashion they need to get it in. But with that being said, the play action game, it's massive. If you can force those safeties of Washington to have to commit a little bit extra to the run game because they're having Blake Corum go for 6 yards a carry, whatever it ends up being, at that point, you have the deep shot available, which is 100% true. And if you get the deep pass game going and you get Colston Loveland going over the seam and you're able to kind of put pressure on them that way, you can start to separate if you're Michigan. I truly believe that. But I think maybe a more nuanced way to look at this, what we saw Oregon State do was a lot of get it to Silas Bolden in the flats. And it was play action, and it was bring him across the formation, and it was check it down to him right around 4 or 5 yards. He'll catch it at, turn it upfield, get somewhere north of 10 yards. Now, I'm not saying it has to be a Silas Bolden type of player from Michigan, though that could be Roman Wilson. I'd feel great if it's Colston Loveland catching the ball afterwards and getting upfield. So keep an eye on that. It may not always be the explosive deep shot dagger. They could have that. But I'd keep an eye on the play action. Heck, it could be Blake Corum as well, out of the gun. So keep an eye on that, the change of pace pitch from Michigan after they start to pound the rock. So that's kind of what I think they could be doing offensively. J.J. McCarthy's legs could be a factor in that as well. We talked about that. Now, defensively for Michigan, one big thing that has to happen is impacting Michael Penix Jr. Now, that doesn't need to look like getting after him in terms of being able to send an extra man blitzing or find a way to, collapse the pocket. That would be ideal. But I think you'll see Michigan do a similar approach to what they did against Alabama, which is we're not bringing a safety from the third level or bringing a corner from the boundary. It'll be a lot of twists and stunts and kind of just get that offensive line a little bit confused. Now, to be clear, it is a very good offensive line at Washington. They won the Joe Moore Award for a reason. But if you're able to just get home once or twice, if you're able to just, at some way, shape, or form, rattle Michael Penix Jr. and disrupt him, that's going to be a thing that helps you later on in the game. That could make him second-guess himself. You speed up that shot clock for him, good things happen for Michigan. So that's the one way to impact him. The other way to impact him is those corners on the outside for Michigan being physical and being disruptive. And it doesn't mean that you have to put a highlight out there where you run Rome Odunze off into the sideline. I mean, I'm sure you take that if you're Michigan. But Will Johnson and Josh Wallace disrupting the timing of Washington's pass game. Because we've seen it many times. Washington may not have had their best day at the office, but their cheat code, their trump card has been Rome Odunze, one-on-one coverage, Michael Penix Jr., drop it in the basket, and that's kind of how they've won some of these games. So if you're able to throw off the timing and make Michael Penix Jr. kind of double pump, kind of hold the ball, hey, I thought he'd be at 10 yards at this point. He's still fighting to get to 7 or 8. Throws off the entire complexion of what you want to do offensively if you're Washington. So in that way, that could, again, disrupt Michael Penix Jr., kind of get him uncomfortable. And it won't be a thing where you just get him uncomfortable one time and great, that's the way that it goes. It's going to be a consistent, just be annoying, just pester him. And again, that could be the corners, could be the stunts up front, but in some way, impacting him is going to be massive. So for Michigan, to put a bow on this thing, I think it's really important for them to play a complete complementary kind of game. Because the way that they win this thing, stop and score. For Washington, their path is more narrow, but their path is we're going to score 40 to 50. If you can hang with us and catch us that way, great. But for Michigan, if they get a stop and they get up 10 points, they get up 14 points, let's say. At that point, again, we said at the beginning of the segment, we'll say it again, they can wear on you. Hand the ball to Donovan Edwards. Hand the ball to Blake Corum. This is a Washington defense giving up a little more than 4 yards a carry. Y'all, it's not great. Ask Texas. They ran the ball for 6 yards a carry, but didn't have the leverage, didn't play a clean enough game to take advantage of it. If Michigan gets leverage, they can kind of get you in that sleeper hold. Could be a quick lights out for the good folks in Seattle. Again, regardless, we'll have a pick for you or a reaction to the actual game that happened on the field tomorrow night, so make sure you're locked in. We have a pick for you on this very channel, so go check that out. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.